Hello and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. It's Tuesday and it promises to be a very exciting 1 hour. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks, and hope you know we always tell you on SOUQ Pulse, no matter what, don't keep quiet. Never keep quiet. Don't keep silent. Whether you're losing, making the profit. Whether your country is losing or making the profit. Whether the economy is moving forward or retrogressing. Whether those particular policies are helping or not helping, it doesn't matter as long as we keep talking. We will get to the quarters that need to hear what we are saying. And we remember this, always be part of this conversation. Go on our social media handles and drop a comment. It's always nice knowing that you are there and we here and we are having this particular program going. We say thank you very much. We are going to discuss something that everybody loves, but the other side of it, most people don't take that into cognizance, but that in terms, as in real terms, are the most important side of it. The world all over is making a whole lot of money from different industries. SOUQ Pulse, we say we're trying to get Africa productive. We're trying to compete, or at least we're trying to join the race somehow. Now we are looking at the business of music. This is unlike what we used to have before, where we go on break and come back and introduce our topic. We are looking at the business of music, and we're asking this straightforward question. What percentage of the music industry money is coming to Africa? This is an industry that, let's try and be a bit conservative, hundreds of billions of dollars across all genres of music. Now it's hitting home to every of those songs you're dancing to, playing at parties, sending via mail, via streaming platform, via sharing, Bluetooth, or whatever means you try to move them, going to concerts, going every single place you hear a music being played, whether it's local, international, somebody somewhere is making money. When you aggregate, it turns into a whole lot. Now, how much of it is coming to Africa? How much of it is making sure that that brother of yours that loves this industry is going and moving and being able to pay his bills? How much of it is putting food on the tables in Africa? To join us in this particular discourse today, I have the people you've also tried to see several times, but you're also going to make sure that on this show, they will talk both from experience and from the activity and being part of this particular industry. I have Ikenna Mbah, who happens to be one person that has made sure a particular set of music has been in the lifeline for a very, very long time. And he's very particular about what he does. Ikenna, welcome to SOUQ Pulse.
Thank you very much.
We also have an executive in our midst. He has pushed this industry, I won't say to the limit, but he has made sure and played his part and made sure that events, music, local music, both in Nigeria, sees international brands come to latch onto it. Please join me as I welcome the Jide Taiwo. I had to add the tweet. You're welcome to SOUQ Pulse.
Thank you. I wasn't sure who you were referring to, but it's fine.
Okay,
I'm him.
It's nice. It's always nice to be humble, but when you see, you're welcome. Joining us on Zoom, we'll have another guest from Uganda and another guest from Algeria. Then we'll also have our own blackface also join this conversation. Now we are asking, where is the money? For those wondering, we are looking at major brands, major labels, major distributions, maybe within Africa, maybe a footprint, but majorly outside Africa, reckoning these billions, copyright, promotion, distribution, sharing, streaming, how much is coming this way? So let me start with you, Ikenna. You happen to be the next, you are arm's reach. So Ikenna.
Of close proximity, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So if there's a trouble, you are the first I'll hold. How much do you think is coming to Africa? If we say 500 billion, how much is coming to Africa?
I don't think it's, you mean like if you're saying the whole cake is 500 billion,
yes.
Right? Africa could be doing 1/3 of that, approximately.
1/3 as in content or 1/3 as in money?
You're talking money, you said 500 billion. So $500 billion or naira or whatever it is, 1/3 of that, I think we're arguably making 1/3 of that.
1/3 of it?
Yes.
Okay. Jide, do you agree?
1/3 is generous. 1/3 is generous. When you put into cognizance the fact that a lot of Africa's music and entertainment revenue are still outside of the net being captured, by all of these research companies and all of the data analysts. We are not capturing the entire ecosystem that Africa has to offer. So 1/3 is a bit generous. Again, if you look at it from the prism of, the music revenue coming in, cuts across different levels, and I'm sure we'll get there at some point. So the biggest earner for music these days is music streaming, right? Okay. How many Africans are streaming their music compared to other places in the world? I dare say that it's less than 1/3, so if 100,000 people are streaming music in the US, for instance, 1/3 of that is far more than the number of people streaming in Africa. So, the figure will be way less than 1/3. Not that, so we're doing well, but when you put it in comparison with what obtains everywhere else in the world, you see that it's still very early days for us.
Okay. Now, it's still early days. Okay. Now, a particular research states that for last year, recorded revenue, let's be specific on that, was about 28.6 billion recorded revenue through some particular quarters. Now, let's now ask ourselves, for those particular streaming platforms where you say most of the revenue is coming from, how many is owned by Africans?
What revenue of the 28 billion that was made from Africa is owned by?
Let's look at the streaming platforms.
The streaming platforms, yes. Which streaming platforms are
all
African?
The major streaming platforms.
Oh, there's none. There's none. I mean, you can't think of. I know that there's a Danish guy in Kenya that is trying to build something local from there. It's called Mdondo, I think, but it's still floated on the Copenhagen Stock Exchange, so it's not exactly Nigerian. You have Boomplay that is Chinese owned. You have Spotify that is Swede owned. You have Apple Music, that is American. So none of the majors are owned by any African, company, as say, opposed to film that you probably have Showmax that is being built by MultiChoice, or an Iroko that is built by Jason Njoku. So we don't have that skin in the game, so to speak, as opposed to other places in Europe and America. I know of at least 2 streaming services in the Middle East, and they are doing very well. Matter of fact, I saw Davido in one of the
streaming platforms in the Middle East.
In the Middle East, I think it's called Angami or something. But we haven't put the same energy, as they say, on the streets of Twitter, into building things that are local, that are indigenous to us. So time and time again, we are beholden to these major platforms that, they'll tell you whatever figures they are comfortable with.
Can we say foreign platforms?
Oh, for sure.
Platforms outside Africa. Now, for those that might not understand why we are asking these questions, now let's break it down. For an industry to work, there are other allied industries that either supporting, profiting, or gaining. Now, if Africa is not playing, then every other allied industry that is profiting, supporting, or gaining is also not African. Now we see where the food is going to other people's tables. You can churn out all the content you want, but someone else might be making the money. Let's come back that way. We're looking at 28.6 conservatively being made for last year. How much of that money do you think came when we don't have any of the streaming platforms? Ikenna.
Well,
I hope you're still here with us.
First of all, I want to emphasize that a lot of money is not coming to us from streaming.
Okay, so where is the money coming from?
I can tell you categorically. I run an online radio, right?
Okay.
The people that are streaming are not Nigerians. Majority of the people streaming are the bottom, like the Nigerians, because many times they tell you, we can't stream, there's no data. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't stream, my data is off. That's what you get most of the time. So most of the people streaming are streaming from outside the country.
Outside Nigeria?
That revenue, yes.
Okay, but US, people in Rwanda can stream because they have countrywide coverage. A large chunk of countrywide coverage.
Not as much as Americas, Europe, Asia.
Okay, which means the money is still on that side.
Still out there.
So where I disagree with you is that yes, the money is not a lot, but if you look at the breakdown of the revenue coming to Africa, the most money that we've made in recent years is from music streaming.
Music streaming.
Music streaming.
Okay.
You might have the fact that they are outside in the diaspora is another matter. Do you understand? So if a Davido goes to New York and sells out an arena, those people are not Nigerians. However, they are listening to Nigerian music. So when David returns to Lagos, they are probably still streaming his music that is kind of like domiciled from here. So you can see all those hotspots. In that regard, we can say that the large chunk of the money, because the other legs of music revenue, sync, performance, merchandise, events, all of these things, are not as readily available as streaming has become in the last recent years. So streaming, I think, has done well for us, to be fair. All of us remember the Alaba model, that you just have to take your music and then you have no rights to it. But streaming has made it such that the availability of piracy is kind of reduced, even though it still operates widespread, but it's reduced. And artists, executive entertainers have an opportunity to earn directly from what they've done.
Directly from source?
Yes.
Okay. Now
If
this
they
is
are now
stream
getting
platform,
enough.
stream platform,
Yes.
artist.
Yes. Well, there are so many other layers to it.
Middlemen.
You can't.
Record labels.
So it's such that those
I'm still
people,
mentioning names. Publishers. Keep going.
Oh yes. So if you drop the
Copywriters.
the chain, right? There are several layers.
Lawyers.
One is not necessarily less important than the other.
Okay.
And what it means is that if you do this and you've had an opportunity to make 28 billion, that means if you scale it up, you can make 218 billion.
Well, from this 28 billion,
Yes.
do you think 5% came to Africa?
28 billion from the IFPI report. 28 billion is what came to sub-Saharan Africa.
Is what came to sub-Saharan Africa?
Yes,
Good.
interestingly.
Then general, then that should be like $1 trillion.
How do you go from 28 billion to $1 trillion?
Hold on to that thought. Now we are going to go outside Nigeria and also get our guests from Algeria and our guests from Uganda. Mohamed Benloulou, are you on? Mohamed Benloulou, good afternoon. It's Nigerian
Hello.
time. Yes. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you for invitation. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for invitation. Happy to be with you. So concerning the subject about how the revenue, firstly, we must know that the streaming is, as the guest mentioned, is very important, one of the main source of revenue of the music industry. But before, the concerts was the main one. Also, the selling of the vinyl or CD. Also, they have a main thing. The radio podcasting as also a very important thing. But right now, the most challenging thing is the industry, is the streaming. As I know, maybe we don't have an African platform streaming, so based we can know how much revenue, how much incoming from music industry for African artists. In Africa, we have different labels, different artists, collaborating different labels in different regions, from US, from Europe, from the Gulf region. I take example from North Africa, such Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. They have Anghami platform, which is based in United Emirates of Arab. So this is a problem. You can know how much industry. Some others can maybe have contract with other record labels. So it's a little bit hard to know how much revenue for musical industry in Africa. But for artists, I believe this is the last one who can get paid and how much income, because as the guest mentioned, is complicated in the processes. You have the manager, you have the beat maker, the artist reading with you. If you're playing live, you have taxes. You must not forget taxes. The platforms who in Spotify or Apple, the artists paying taxes for these countries. So a lot of money going to their country. Also, if you have a country, if you have copyrights, also you must pay copyrights for your country, taxes for your country. So you have a lot of money spent here and there before you know how much you real revenue from the music.
Thank you very much, Mohamed. Please hold on, stay on, because we have several questions for you. But before we come back to you, let's go to Uganda. We have Silas Balabyekkubo, who also happens to be the pioneer of Luca Flow. So we are coming to you. Silas, how are you doing? Good afternoon, Nigerian time. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, my brothers. How you doing?
Good. We are good. Now, let's go straight to you. Now, to what extent do you have government involvement in the music industry in Uganda? And do you see that involvement, or do you see a return in that kind of investment should it happen?
I think of recent, with a lot of the youth uprisings from a political stance, we've seen the government step in to try and regulate and control, the music platforms, not only just music, but the whole creative industry. For all of a sudden, they've heightened their awareness to know that there's a tools that the most population in the country are using. And now some of them, they were delayed in time to know if they had systems in place. Like in Uganda, we still have the copyright law still being in the parliament, being discussed. And that's one of the big things that they have going on with different musical parties that are fighting for that. But in reality, the government hadn't been directly necessarily plugged into setting up systems that benefit the artists. And so it's a new wave. It's something that's emerging out of them realizing that at this day and time, Uganda is 78% under 20 or under 30, and majority of those young men and young women are in the creative industry. So now there's a new emergency of putting the effort, but we don't know what that effort will do because there's a lack of experience. And so I believe that with that being observed currently, there's a few applicants that are chosen in different cell groups, whether they are associations or federations, that have emerged probably in the last 2 years, just to be in this discussion to ensure that now the government can directly apply itself in being a part of the systemic setup that aids the creative industry in Uganda. Other than that, like I agree with anybody else, we've been left behind. We are now part of major distributive income generating activities when it comes to the music. We still rely on foreign platforms to be able to validate our art or to even create value for our art. So I think that there's so much work to be done in the direction, and that's why this conversation is important. I also live in Vancouver, and I participated in a cell group research that was informing the city on how to support the creatives of the city. And, after the research was done, we went to the city council and they were able to validate a budget that will go on ahead to start cycling in a system because they realized that music was bringing in much more money than other resources that they were looking at. So I think when Africa starts to recognize what the art industry brings into the continent, there might be a better way to speak about the value now they could give back to the artists.
Thank you very much, Silas. Now, for some people that might not understand this, everyone is looking at, let's break Africa down. Ghana, cocoa, you're looking at solid minerals. Nigeria, looking at oil. It's beautiful. Cameroon, you're looking at agriculture, looking at some other solid minerals. Beautiful. Have you asked yourself the number that Africa possesses? 1.6 billion. Have you asked yourself what kind of content we can consume as a continent? Okay, now have you asked yourself the amount of talent in this particular continent of ours, from coast to coast, from desert to desert? Now, why am I saying this? We have one of our guests who happens to be Mohamed. The Algerian government was part of his hip-hop book. They see a talent. They see something that is possible. Now, we need to look beyond solid minerals and see that there is money in the creatives. We've chosen music today, and we are going to talk about it for the remaining part of our time. Please, our guests, still hold on there. We're coming back to the studio. Now, let's ask this straight questions. Mr. Jide, I'm going to start from you.
Oh, please.
Thank you very much. Why don't we have African streaming platforms, African labels that can compete with those that have been there outside this country since 1925, 1915? Why don't we grow from that?
So it's a layer of different things. Up until the 1980s and the early parts of the 90s, there were major record companies domiciled in Nigeria. Sony, you know, the likes of them, Philips.
They were still foreign companies.
They were foreign companies.
Come here to make money.
Yes, but they helped a lot. They helped the industry some bit.
Yes.
I know that as of
making the money and taking it back.
No, they necessarily didn't take it back, because I remember that Shina Peters told me that in 1992 he sold his album. There were 7 million units of his album. In 1977, and that's Shina Peters, I was young at the time. 1977, a man who used to sing Akpala, you know, Haruna Ishola, sold 5 billion copies of it was a disc, you know, a 75.
Sold where?
Sold locally in Nigeria.
In Nigeria?
Yes, and it had
Which
its own record
the possibilities are not just there, they are there.
The possibilities are there,
okay,
but you cannot remove it from the economic realities of many Nigerians. For most of us, music and entertainment are a nice to have, not an essential. You are probably looking to get bread or spaghetti or rice to eat.
But you are taking the music. You are taking the music without even knowing it.
Who's taking the music now?
As Nigerians, Africans, we listen to the music.
Oh, we listen to music,
whether we want it or not.
Yes, I agree with you. So on the flip side, why have we not had things of African extraction?
Okay.
I think it's the matter of time and need. If there's already a system that, for better or for worse, have helped us get to this point, do we need to reinvent the wheel from the beginning? I guarantee you that a lot of the success that Nigerian musicians in particular, and we have the largest number in Africa anyway, so the rest of Africa, sorry to you, but if the success that Nigerian artists have enjoyed in the West is because of the streaming platforms. We can now make the argument that perhaps we're not getting enough, we want more coverage, we want more stimulus, we want more attention on other genres that are not necessarily the Afrobeat sector. We can make that argument. But if there's a guy in Vancouver who listens to Omale, it's because of these streaming platforms that are played here. So it's a catch-22 situation. Do we start reinventing the wheel, or do we deploy what we already have to get us further than we already are?
Okay, thank you very much. That we'll come back to it.
Okay.
But now, Ikenna, let's talk about this. We are looking at getting Africa productive. We are looking at bringing that much needed foreign exchange, Naira, cities, whatever, into Africa. Where should our government start in plugging into this industry, music industry? Where do you think the government should start? Be it policies, be it support, be it acknowledgement in the first place, or be it opening up the doors for this particular artist to be able to access business and do business?
Well, for me, it's always been a pain point, because I feel like government should be cheering this venture. Now, Benloulou had a hip-hop advocacy book that he authored when he did his PhD. His government supported him to the point where they said to him, send us 2 copies, your first 2 copies, send to us. Let's see how we can support. Let's see how we can get into this thing that you're doing. But you see, for us down here, it's beyond. I must give credit to the individuals, if I may use that term, the individuals, because it's the individuals. The individuals are the reason why our industry has come this far. Not government, not organizations, not nothing. It's the me and yous. Like that guy that says, okay, I see what you're doing. Let me shoot you a video. Let me get you rotation on air. Let's support you. Okay, come to town, stay in my place. Let's make this happen. That's why we have an industry in the first place. And I feel like government are the first people that would have taken advantage of such an opportunity and scaled it to the point where it to be beyond how it is right now.
But I don't want, I don't want government's involvement. I don't want government's involvement.
Maybe not right now,
any more than I want them in
so what I'm saying,
agriculture
from the
or
beginning,
banking.
from the beginning.
Even in the beginning, what you have to be conscious of, and sorry to African leaders, we have a problem with controlling creativity.
Okay.
If you talk too much, and yes, music is also a social tool.
Okay.
right? You don't want government to have invested in you so much so that it stifles your creativity or restricts your expression.
But that's
I
already
don't want-
happening with the record labels.
Okay.
No, that's another kettle of fish.
Can we look
That's
at can we look at government being able? Government might not come directly into creativity, but government can.
That's what I'm saying.
Government
I don't
can
want
assist
the
labels.
same level. I don't want them to assist labels because you are now indebted to government.
Yeah.
And it's creativity.
What about streaming
What
platforms?
I don't want government involved in business, period. All I want government to do, any government in Africa, right, is the same attention
offer
that you are. I don't even want grants, to be honest. That's how stark it is. I don't want grants. What I want you to do for me, I just came back from Abeokuta yesterday morning.
Okay.
They've not had power supply for 3 weeks. That
Okay.
is mad.
That is what you want them to do.
Do you understand?
Get that
So
done.
get the basic infrastructure that we need. This will in turn stimulate creativity across industry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I almost asked the platform.
Ask the platform.
Now, government gave a Dangote,
Right.
opened up a facility where he could get a loan to build a refinery. Now, if I need to build a very big platform, a streaming platform,
So
an
those are
app
different.
somewhere,
Those are
I
different.
need money.
Dangote operates in an essential commodity.
Do we need money?
Music is not an essential commodity. Let's be honest.
Okay, but
It's
can
not.
it bring
However-
resources? Can it bring
however,
resources in?
What now obtains, and you
Okay.
have people who do not necessarily appreciate the advantage that Mr. Dangote seemingly has.
Okay.
Because it seems like for everybody, for Mr. Dangote to thrive, everybody else has to be restricted. There are people who believe that, right? So that means that if the government enables you, they can also tear you down. Do you understand? So what I want is, yes, I concede, perhaps governments can guarantee certain things in terms
Make a
of
fund available somewhere.
Make a fund available.
Where if I need to
guarantee
build a system.
guarantee all of these things.
Okay.
But in terms of grants and handouts, I don't want that. We were speaking earlier today
Must it
about
be
the
grants?
bank.
Must it be handed out?
So we were
Something you
speaking
pay
this
back.
morning. There was
necessarily.
this morning. Folks took
want free money?
Folks took loans from the Bank of Industry to make films, and nothing came out of it.
Okay, we will get to that particular
Let's get there
discourse.
quickly, please.
We have blackface on now. Yes, you heard me. We have blackface on right now. And blackface, hope you're doing good. Happy New Year and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. Hello, can you unmute your microphone, please? We can't hear you. Can you unmute your microphone, please? Okay, we'll come back to you. Kindly unmute your microphone. Our technical guys will speak with you. Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Definitely, yes, we can. How are you doing? Oh, you're gone again. Okay. By the time you get back, we want you to take up this particular question we were talking about just before you came on. Do you think government should open up a channel where people that are trying to build a platform, be it a streaming platform, be it whatever, can get that particular funding and repay it back? No hands out. Let it not look like somebody's doing something for anybody for free. So now let's get back to Mohamed in Algeria. We want to hear from you. How does it work in Algeria? What is the government involvement in the creative industry in Algeria, and how has it assisted or not assisted? Let's get to hear from you, please.
Okay, in Algeria, we have particular situations because the role of a government, the first thing is how to support and guarantees the right of the artist of the music industry. That's first. Secondly, how to, create laws that let investment in music industry, that bring and support the investors to invest in music industry and support local artists. The government have many supports for events and concerts. Even let's take particular time the period of COVID. So there is no music, no concerts. So the role of the government here that support the artist at least one time to support himself for one. But meanwhile, he working to create a law, discussion with the artists, brings the experts who has expertise in music industry, how to create a law and environment to support artists and investors to support artists and be involved in the music industry. But meanwhile, government of Algeria always support the artists, such the music or cinema and any kind of artists.
Thank you very much, Mohamed. It's always a pleasure. Like, this is our first time of getting you and holding you down on SOUQ Pulse. We'll do this again. I want to say thank you for being on SOUQ Pulse. When we call on you next time, please be kind enough to oblige us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we'll go to Silas. We'll go to Silas in Uganda. Silas, we had this little back and forth here in the studio. Jide had his own point where he maintained directly that he wants that government involvement to be able to be checkmate.
Yes, please.
Okay. And Ikenna was saying, bring the money. Now, let's get to hear from you, Silas. What do you think? Do you think government involvement is something that we need right now? Do you think that funding should be there? Let's get, what are your thoughts on government involvement, funding, and being able to assess and make sure that this industry thrives for everybody?
Like, restricted.
I truly believe that everyone's engagement and involvement is necessary for the platforms that offer either a nation or the continent progress. So the conversation has to be happening both on a government level and on a private level, because there's leverage points for us to dwell on, or to really focus on, or ensure that we're talking currency here and we're talking money. So we're talking taxes to be paid, and we're talking kickbacks for investors to be able to participate. So I believe that if we're able to allow a consensus of a conversation that is artist focused to exist, and that a well facilitated research is done with the authenticity of the nature of the artistic environments from where we all come from in different parts of the sectors, I think that might bring about an evolution of some sort to develop new tools and design new ways that could allow now access for income, for connectivity to around the globe. People talk about streams and streaming. It might be contributing, but it doesn't necessarily design infrastructure. Right now, what we need is the infrastructure that allows the next generation to plug and play. We're living in a digital era, and I personally feel like if we could create a platform for our generation to find, a well-refined platform that they can plug in to be able to bring their geniusness as innovators, solution finders, we could see that our young Africans going forward as creatives can really make a lot of money off their art and bring more infrastructure into the continent. Until we are having that conversation, if the conversation is artist focused, we are actually losing because it's focused on the individual gaining. But if it's continental, if it's community, if it's cultural, it gives us a higher focus to even allow all the artists to participate in this new way that we want to see that we generate and bring more income to the continent.
Thank you very much, Silas. It's also a pleasure having you on SOUQ Pulse. This conversation is just starting. Like, this is the first time we are having this on SOUQ Pulse. And for those that might not know, with his entire experience, Jide also happens to be my CEO. So he's stuck with us. We'll continue this conversation, but hey, for now, I want to say thank you very much. And we are grateful you are part of SOUQ Pulse today. Thank you very much, Silas.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, we are going on a very short break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation right from where we stopped. And we hope Blackface will join us then. Don't go anywhere. SOUQ Pulse will be right back.
My name is Veronica Nkechi Eze.
Charles Abana.
My name is Professor Martins Emeje.
Professor Sylvester Odion Akaine.
Keep
watching SOUQ
News TV.
The best news channel online.
It's elevating, it's enlightening, it's educating.
Muhammad Ali found his root in Africa. Rumble in the jungle. I swear the king is humble. Jesse Jackson, O.J. Simpson, this is black history. Andrew Young visit Africa in the late 60s. Legend, Bob Marley make the life different. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are big names. They fought for black Americans in the old days. We need the same revolution in our own ways. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Mr. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre and Eddie Murphy. American prosperity ain't complete with African poverty. It's legendary Idris Abdul Karim, and you are on to SOUQ News. You don't touch that dial.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to SOUQ News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, SOUQ News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. SOUQ News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, SOUQ News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. SOUQ News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
Welcome back. It's still SOUQ Pulse, and we are looking at Africa. We're looking at the music industry. We are looking at the trillion part of this industry, and we're asking ourselves what percentage is Africa getting? Whether we like it or not, this is a race other nations are running in whatever form they can. Africa must run. Africa must move. We must put food on the table. That is like the basic. We must grow our economy. So from every industry, we have to play. Now, let's go back to our guest. I still have Jide Taiwo. I have Ikenna Mbah. Now, let's go this way. We have a lot of African artists, Nigerian artists, go outside the shores of Nigeria and shut down stadium. They shut down event venues. They make all the amount of money. How does that get to Africa?
The answer to that question is the question itself. How does that, who does it help, really? If you have a show at Wembley Stadium, right, and there are 6 hotels surrounding Wembley Stadium, and you have people flying from all over the world to buy tickets to attend that show, you have KFC and all these fast food restaurants around, how does that impact Africa? It doesn't. At best, you know, we use it as bragging rights. Oh, my favorite artist just shut down this stadium. I know that on the night that Burna Boy outsold Beyonce, right? Burna Boy was at London Stadium, Beyonce was at Tottenham Stadium, and there was a 20,000 gap between the attendees. Never mind, but Beyonce did 2 nights later, right? But to make up. No, it's Beyonce now. It's Beyonce, you know. So she had 3 days of back-to-back shows. But on that one night, Burna Boy had more fans in the London Stadium than Beyonce had. But how does that help the Nigerian ecosystem? It doesn't. It doesn't. All of these things are good for our vanity metrics, and we can put it in nice graphics and post it everywhere. But until those 60,000 people sell out Mobolaji Johnson Stadium or National Stadium or the waterfront, wherever, it doesn't help, because the revenue doesn't stop at ticket sales alone. There's merchandise, there's associated services, there's hotels, there's tourism, there are people who are going to explore because they're in that town for that one event. So it really doesn't help us. What we need to do is to replicate all those successes and localize them.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will just be vanity metrics.
Okay. Now we have blackface on. Thank God the network is good. Blackface, how you doing? Good evening. Your microphone is still off. Can you turn it on?
Okay, I'm muted now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're welcome to SOUQ Pulse. Go ahead.
Great to be on this platform and discuss a delicate issue like this. I like to say that the Nigerian government is really making money from the artists. You people might not know that 30% tax is being deducted from the artist revenue coming from overseas. And that's why the artists have to file for their tax returns to get some of this money back. And while the money is still with the government, trust me, the government can use it for any kind of investment. And other people have been talking about their own country and how the government created an enabling environment for the artists to thrive. We don't have that environment here. You know, we're caught up with all kinds of things that is not making it easy for the artists to really bring the best out of themselves. So I would say that the government is making money when anybody sells out a stadium.
Hello, Blackface. Are you still there? Okay, now he's having some network glitches where he is, and he was making some sense. Now, he was looking at it from the aspect of tax from artists coming in. What is that amount of tax compared to the example you gave, selling out a 60,000 stadium and every other auxiliary industry being part of this production? Yeah. Then now, there's a question I needed to ask you just before he gets back. The money being made from that 60,000, is it coming to Africa?
At best, you probably get your money from, like Black was saying, from the artist's own taking. You know, when there's a show, it doesn't mean that 60,000 times 30 pounds is all coming, you know, to the artist. No. There's promoter fees, there's infrastructure, there's the venue itself. What the Nigerian government can tax is if the artist decides to, you know, repatriate his funds back home. If I have a NatWest account and I've collected $100,000 for a show, how is the Nigerian government getting a bite of that? You know, if you decide to bring back those funds home, that's when, you know, we can get a bite of it.
Okay, Africa, I hope you're listening. Now, Blackface is back. Hello, Blackface. Say something, like wave or smile.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Definitely.
Okay. So if the artist gets paid and the music is rendered on a stage overseas, there are lots of money that goes through. There is the stream, there's the right to the music. There are people that control that. And the artist if the artist is a Nigerian artist, the artist has filed that he's based in Nigeria, there has to be 30% deducted tax. Just
okay, we're still having
so the government
now, let's get back to the studio. If all what we get to see all this beautiful razzmatazz of all the stadium, of all the numbers, of all the figures, is just a trickle that's coming into Africa. Now we see the possibilities. Ikenna, don't worry, don't cry. Don't cry. We see the possibilities. We see Africa rising. Now Africa is time to play your part. Where can we say, now we're running up, we're also almost short of it. Where can we say, let's start building? Different African countries, where can we say, let's start building? This conversation is not ending here today. We'll continue, but where can we start building? Yes, we are going, then we go him, then we'll close the show.
So I think, by and large, we need to start building the infrastructure. The biggest criticism about Lagos entertainment, you know, industry is that there's no venue for events. Everybody goes to hotel for their launching, political rally, wedding reception. Everybody's going to one venue. And it's not a custom-built event center, as opposed to, say, the O2 Arena or, you know, like, what's it called now, the place in New York. Madison Square Garden that is built as an event enterprise. It's just of recent that there was a groundbreaking ceremony of some entertainment hub somewhere in Lagos. So government and private investors needs to first look at building the infrastructure in terms of real estate, in terms of road, in terms of amenities, yes, and of course in terms of the infrastructure, streaming, whatever it is. Until that comes into place, we'll just always be taking these shows out. You've not seen Drake come and host a show in Nigeria and say, oh, I shut down Kanji Dam. It's not happening. It's only in this part of the world that we outsource our glory, so to speak.
Bragging rights.
Including bragging rights, So we have to build the infrastructure that we need. When Caspar Nieuwes shut down, what was it, a 40,000 capacity stadium, in South Africa. Those are the things that we should be doing.
His hometown.
Right? His hometown. Olamide once did the National Stadium. I think it had some level of decent success, but that should be the goal for us, to sell out the Abuja Stadium, the Port Harcourt Stadium. Fino, I think, used to do Enugu or someplace, every other Christmas. Those are things that should be mainstream and not just Christmas jollification.
Okay, Ikenna.
Well, for me, I think where my focus is the money. I want the money to come in.
Are you still focused on free money?
No, not just free money. Let's begin to see how we can channel a chunk of these billions that we're talking about coming in. Let's begin to set up streaming platforms. Let's begin to have cultural...
If we say let's begin to set up, somebody has to set up. It's somebody's business. It's not government business.
Yeah, because I agree with Jide, because when the government set up, it's already happening. Labels affect the creativity of artists. So government will even do double worse. So maybe it can be structured in a way where they don't come in fully and maybe you have papers signed, creativity or this, that wise, you don't come in there. This is where the fence stops for you, maybe. But I'm talking about, let's begin to set up those streaming platforms. Nigerian streaming platforms that cater to Nigerian music, that cater to Afrobeats, that cater to African hip hop. Let's begin to do stuff like that. Let's also, because I segue from what Jide is saying, let there be power, let there be nice roads, there's a conference center in my home state that has been there for the past 3 governors. Nobody has finished it. And it's the kind of conference venue where you would see, how you see a Grammy being hosted and the event place would take like 20, 30,000 people, well set up, but it hasn't been finished till tomorrow. So when things like that are done, then we'll now segue to the creatives, to the creativity, the music, the streaming platforms. Let's get that money and channel it back here.
Okay. I want to say thank you very much for everyone that sat through and be part of this discussion. Now, like I said, this is just the beginning. It's SOUQ Pulse. We talk business and we say Africa needs to move. This is an industry. For everyone that keeps enjoying free music or not free music, you are taking part of a simple bite from an industry. And we need to start making money, seeing the profit back on the soils of Africa. I want to say thank you very much to Mr. Jide Taiwo. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. See you again shortly.
To Ikenna, I want to say thank you very much. To Blackface, we will do this again, and we hope that every of our network issues will be gone. To our guides from Uganda and Algeria, I want to say thank you very much. My name is SOUQ, John Rogers SOUQ. It's SOUQ Pulse. SOUQ News is all about positive programming. We'll do this again tomorrow. Bye.